Jeremie discusses using gears in your everyday life and in your business.
And I do, okay, what's going on? Where are we at? Got this, and this. Steve walks in. Steve, what's going on, man? How you doing? Hey, how was the weekend? I know you guys went such and such. So I'm connecting socially. And then I'm moving right in to, all right, so, but we've established the connection. Versus what happens most of the time is we stay in fourth and fifth gear too long. And so we do this. Steve comes in at 4 o'clock, and I'm sitting here on the computer, and I go, hey, yeah, one second, Steve, hang on. I got an email. I got to get this done. Awkward for him. I'm in the zone. Then I do that. Okay, yeah, what's up? What's going on? No connectivity, no connection. All of a sudden, if you're leading teams, this is a big deal. So all of a sudden now, it makes it really hard because that person feels like, I don't want to bother you. I feel like so they don't bring anything to you because they're afraid. Because it's simply that you stayed in fourth gear too long, fifth gear too long. You need to do third gear in the office as well. So I just started practicing at the 58s, changing and shifting into third gear and transitioning. So these are trigger points, okay? Now the same thing. Any questions on that, by the way, before I go on? Can you find a trigger point? Can you find one on your way home? 1-2 miles out, make it a marker, and that marker becomes your transition where you shift. It's a big deal, you guys. I'll tell you, a lot of CEOs we work with, it's so simple. We'll do this, and then we'll do it with their spouse, and we'll do fifth gear together, and we'll bring them in and talk about it. So, because the reality is, let me get to next slide. The reality is that the spouse has the same gears. So my wife, I'll just use this as an example. My wife gets up, her 6 a.m. wake up is first, second, or fourth. She might get up and have to laundry real quick, or the kids need something. It's really prep time for her. So prep time then, 7 a.m. is getting them ready for school. So she's in second and fourth at the same time. She has a hard time distinguishing what's second and fourth, especially if there's homework to get done. So on and so forth. And then projects are where she's at in the morning. And so she's in fourth, fifth, maybe some third, if she has a friend that maybe does coffee with or something, but most of the time it's fourth and fifth. And then lunch is third, first, or fourth. Projects, fourth and fifth. Family time for my wife feels like fourth gear. So she's in fourth gear because she's still working in her mind, because she's doing the food. And right? Now, a lot of the executives, especially female executives that we'll work with, if they're working all day long, there's a natural ought and should for the female, as far as that they should be doing certain activities in our cultures. So what happens then is that it puts pressure on them, and so they might be in fourth and fifth all day at work, and they may go home and they stay in fourth and fifth, but it's a different kind of fourth and fifth. It's a homework fourth and fifth. You guys tracking, ladies tracking? And that fourth and fifth that you feel pressure in is that you have a hard time finding a first gear and finding a second gear because of the demands. So whereas the male, I'm kind of just using generalities here, and primarily me in my life, I'm traveling, I'm speaking, I'm doing all this stuff. She's been in fourth and fifth gear too. But my fourth and fifth gear seems a little bit more weighty, because I'm out and about and earning money, whereas she's not earning money, but she's still doing fourth and fifth at home. So the dynamics are really important to understand. So dinner then, again, is fourth and second. So I've been trying to work hard to show what second gear looks like. So at the dinner table, I ask questions, I get engaged with our kids, I do projects. Hey guys, what's happening? We just went on a vacation. And I'm trying to be intentional. So I went on a vacation, and I had our kids plan the vacation every city. Now we live in London, so we went on a Europe backpacking trip. So my kids, and it was not like a fancy it was just like train backpacking trip. But my daughter, my 12-year-old, was responsible for Salzburg. So she had to book the room. She had to find all the places. My other daughter had Venice. My son had Rome. And so we put all this like on them. So they're engaged. Well, our dinner time conversations for months before that have been all about this trip. So second gear has been kind of pretty fun, but I'm getting them engaged in second gear. So my wife's still at fourth, second, first, and then maybe, just maybe there's some first gear sleep. You guys connect with that? So we've got to understand where other people are in our life. Understanding the gear tendencies of those around you is equally as important as for you. And that we start working together to be aligned in the gears. So for us to understand and know what each other's gears are, the gear order, and we help each other out, especially if you're married, or you've got friends or people you're really close to, and you can begin to work together to be in the same sync. Because you might have one spouse who's in fifth gear, and you're like, hello, we're here, second gear. But instead of using subjective language, use objective language and go, hey, we're in second gear. So my kids, and if you do this right and you turn it over to your kids will start using it on you. Like, Dad, Mom. Like, yeah. So we take the cell phones, and when we do second gear, no cell phones, no technology. Second gear, let's go, turn them off. We're all engaged. So it's a way for us to use language to get on the same page. Now there are times in your business and work where it's like, come on guys, let's go. They're in third gear too long, let's go, let's get to work. So once you start using language and put it inside your organization, it's unbelievable what happens and how people use it. So let me shift this now to 5 voices and talk about how communication works with your voice. When Steve was talking about presenting and sharing and how you can communicate, we call it connecting well. When you start now taking this concept of connectivity inside your work, this is a basic slide that comes from Leadership Pipeline and talks about 4 different spaces. There's intimate, personal, social, and public. So the optimum size group of each. So we are in here, we're close, we're really just above the social space, between social and public. It's kind of right on the border. If this room was completely full, we'd be in the public space, and we probably would do less interaction than we've been doing, and much more keynote. But we've been able to do interaction with you guys. All right? Then you have groups that are personal, apprenticeship, which is 6 to 12 people, which are most teams. Most of your executive teams or your teams that you work in. And then accountability or intimate space is 2 to 3 people. On the right side shows that it's relational and informal. With you guys, we've trained for this. We planned to be more disciplined and structured. So we have agendas, we've got a plan, a flow, so that we can connect well with you. But because we're kind of in this social space, we can be a little bit more informal and relational because we're getting to know you in a little bit smaller group. So that's how it works, right? Well, each one of us, to connect well, we get more comfortable in certain sizes of groups. So for me, I really like the public space, and then I like the social space, but I don't really like the personal apprenticeship space. I don't like that. I'm not as good there. And then I can do accountability space. I'm pretty good. So I would say probably public is first, accountability maybe second, third, and then social next. But some of you like to speak in only one of those categories, and you like to do it really well. So you stay in that. Well, if you're not careful, you'll speak at the same way to every size group. So we'll have some CEOs that love the big audience, so they'll be in an intimate group of 2 to 3 people and almost like have a lectern there. And that's why we were talking about Obama earlier. That's why he got so much pushback. And he was in the kindergarten classes, and in the first 4 years, he had a lectern, and he was reading. So he's in a classroom. He's in a social or personal space, but he's speaking as if he's in the public space. It's a big audience, and he was disconnecting. So if you notice now, he's gotten rid of that, and he's trying to connect more because he's in a different setting. So to know your setting and speaking when you speak and communicate is equally as important. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you to the point where you can start using social connectivity and emotional intelligence to increase your influence so that you can liberate, so you can support and challenge at the same level. So the last one on this is the power of the medium. To understand that the worst possible way to communicate, which is what most people do, is to email or text message. Email or text message challenge does not work. Does not work well. We call them Zorro emails. It's when you get mad and you're trying to communicate some challenge, and it feels like you just got, and then you talk to them about, did you mean? Oh, no, I'm just asking, where are we with such and such? Really? Because it felt like you were screaming at me. It's the power of the medium. We've got to understand the power of the medium to go, there's a natural time for an email, but it needs to be used in the right context. This is old. We've talked about this for a long time, and yet we still do it, this culture, because we're so task-driven. There's not time. And if I go have a conversation with everyone, I won't have any time to do my work. And yet, we spend so much time sending an email from an email that we didn't mean to send, that had, this long little loops. So if we can go in person, we do a lot of video chat. When we do phone calls, we just set up GoToMeeting and we do video chat so I can communicate with people, because it's much more effective than an email. So when you put all that together, what we're doing is we're basically trying to get to become an intentional leader. So to be intentional means that we have to learn how to shift. So the opposite of intentional is accidental. Unintentional, for those of you who are like, the opposite actually is. Unintentional, accidental leadership. Most parenting is accidental. We hope that our teachers and their friends and friends' parents will help us, grow our kids. Most leadership is accidental. We hope we hired the right person who already were leaders. But apprenticeship is intentional. If you want to build leaders worth following, you have to be intentional about helping them develop into the persons you want them to be. If you want to become a leader worth following, you have to be intentional. And it's intentional in every circle of influence. So if you want to learn how to be a liberator, then you need to understand the dynamics of connectivity at the family level, at the team level, organization, and community, and begin to learn how to shift. So for me, I would take the 5 years, and I started looking at it in every context. Okay, what does that mean for my family? All right, we're teaching it to my family. What does it mean for my team? Okay, so an example, this is great. Mike, I want to use you. This is going to be great. I love it. So Mike came to Atlanta, and this is an example of how it works. He came to Atlanta, and we hadn't seen each other in a long time, and he goes, hey, I want you to know, I met some people that you really, like we were at a dinner party. Let me give you the setting. At a dinner party, and I'm meeting some people, we were speaking, and Mike walks in, and he goes, hey, and he wanted to tell me all these things, because we hadn't seen each other in a long time. And I looked at him, and I go, great, Mike, hey. And he goes, got it. Hey, how are you? And he starts connecting with people. All it took was that. 3rd year. He knew, I didn't have to go, hey, listen, and go into this long diatribe and one. So when you use language and do it consistency, what you're doing is you're helping create your culture. And you're helping to build a leadership language inside your organization. So take a few minutes and write down, well, what are you going to take away from this? What are you going to apply for you personally from the 5 years?